Okay, welcome back. It's 8:30 of 2015. We're going to continue our talk on Aquinas on the soul. We're going to take a look at the same three moments, but there's a little extra detail now. So we're going to take a look at the top of the chart, and we're going to look at the sensate impressions being delivered to the intellect of soul, which is the workspace within the soul. And the intellect of soul acts within itself. It is the act of understanding, and it includes the following steps. It will receive the sensations, then the sensations are immediately converted to psychical phantasms. Then the understanding gets involved in extracting abstraction. So abstraction is not equal to phantasm. The phantasm is the psychical conversion of the sensation, and then the abstraction is extracted out of the phantasm. That's a lot to say, but basically the phantasm is an automatic psychical conversion of sensation for the soul, for the intellect. And then that psychical phenomena, that internalized psychical phenomena, from that phantasm, the self can be involved through the understanding to extract an abstraction out of the phantasm. And then the understanding will form a lexical network of abstractions. And so this is therefore an action that transcends the body. Universality is acquired here by the possible intellect. It's called the Intellect of Soul, and it's also called possible intellect by Aquinas. So the phantasms are received in this possible intellect, or within this intellect of soul. So I hope that clarifies. I think we had phantasm equated with abstraction last time, but technically sensation is received, converted to psychical phenomena immediately within the possible intellect, and then the understanding gets involved in extracting abstraction out of phantasm. So a phantasm is a psychical phenomena as a representative of the sensate the sensate impression that is received. So sensation becomes phantasm. Phantasm becomes that out of which we extract abstraction. So it goes sensation, phantasm, abstraction. Now we can look at soul. Soul is substance. It does function as the universal. We do work toward acquiring the universal here. Species is derived from form. Every individual belongs to species and genus, both within the soul. But species are individuated. They are like numbers. Species will unite matter and form. There are many grades of being within nature, says Aquinas. The soul is never composed of contraries. A soul can be corrupted if it did contain a contrary. And the soul is the potentiality of the act of existence. It is the potentiality of the act of existence. The soul acquires the truth through the senses that are received into that intellect of soul, where the work of abstraction and universality can take place. So the soul does depend on the sensing of the body. The soul has a genus of incorporeal substance, and the soul's act of existing is incorruptible and simple and is the act of understanding. That is the operation of the intellect, the possible intellect. So the soul is the proper form of reason. Basically, it is the rational form-building activity of the intellect. It operates of itself, and the perfection of the soul is to acquire the knowledge of truth. Truth is acquired through that intellective aspect of the possible intellect. So the soul is connected to the body because it receives sensate impressions from the body, which are converted immediately to phantasms. So the soul, in a sense, does become an individuated understanding, an individual understanding within a genus of substance. Substance always implies subject, and it does exist in two instances First of all, within the intellect of soul, substance is going to be the understanding that we acquire, that understanding of universality. But there's a secondary level of substance which is going to be the posited universality, and posited universality is going to be a posited essence of form. The posited essence of form is going to be a secondary substance which is still related to the self as subject, but it's our posited individual rendition of universality. Our individual modeling of universality will be posited. So we look at that realm of positing, again, step 4, the body as existing takes place through a form being posited in the genus of body. Positing takes place in the space called the genus of body. In this way, the body can act as distinct from the soul in its actions, because it has the separation of a realm of positing. The act of existing as the supreme ideal of the soul is posited here, that supreme essence of form. The soul is established in this region of the boundary line of positing. The soul's act of existing is conferred and posited here as that ideal, but it is an individuation. It is an individual representation of the universality discovered in understanding. It is the secondary substance of essence that is united with the body as the form for the body. The understanding is the primary substance. This is the secondary. And positing creates the power for the soul, the power of the soul for the body, and for the act of existing. So we move from that realm of positing to body, and body is the accidental part of this process. It is the soul is individuated by the body. The body has a genus of corporeal substance. It is sensate. The body is inferior to the soul and cannot fully attain or fully actualize the supreme posited form because it is limited by its sensate and finite existence. But a thing will receive its individual species through its proper form of reason. The body is corrupted any time anything delimits the act of existing. So we've got the sensate impressions moving into the workspace of intellect of soul. The intellect of soul goes to work on the automatically converted sensations into psychical phantasms, and then the understanding extracts abstractions, forms a lexical network of abstractions, and then shapes those abstractions into a model of the true, and posits that model into the realm of positing as the individual interpretation of the universality of understanding. So there's an individual positing of a form that is supposed to direct and guide and empower the act of existence. It's to empower the body for the act of existence. Now, the act of existence, form and matter come together to create the act of existing. It is corruptible because it does include finite quantitative parts. But that essential principle of the unity of form and matter does constitute this act of existing, and the goal is to reach a perfecting of intellectual knowledge. So there's going to be some feedback from this act of existence. There's going to be feedback to the realm of positing and then back to the soul in order to assist in refining and perfecting intellectual knowledge, which is the goal of the act of existence. The soul is trying to reach a perfection of intellectual knowledge. So there's going to be some, what Hegel called counterblow, but there's going to be some feedback. There's going to be some return. There's going to be some reciprocal dialectical return out of this act of existence, which will re-inform the soul and in that way inform the intellective workspace of the soul in refining its notion of the true and its notion of universality, its understanding of universality. But it is a little bit more extra data this time, because we did get some extra data in the realm of positing. And we really did refine that Intellect of Soul workspace. We had added an extra couple steps there, but we've refined our Intellect of Soul workspace and defined it as an Intellect of Soul workspace, as a possible intellect workspace. So we defined that area in this second time around, and we added to our realm of positing data. So we've had a little bit of refinement here, but all in all, Aquinas is sticking very, very close to Aristotle. He is forming his commentary, but it's almost identical to Aristotle. So he is taking up the view that the sensations are received into a workspace of possible intellect. And then possible intellect will flip sensation to phantasm. And then they'll start working on phantasm and extracting generality and signification and forming abstractions, individual abstractions for the sensations, and then it will take those individual abstractions and shape them into a model of truth, a model of universality. And then it's going to take that model of universality and it's going to form a secondary individual interpretation of universality, and that individual interpretation of universality, of the universality of the true, is going to be posited into the realm of genus of body. That's going to be the midpoint between soul and body, is that realm of genus, which is the realm of positing. It's the realm where the ideality can be posited, the ideal form that will empower action. It will empower through its proleptic force of promise and its trajectory of that which it seeks as an ideal. So it will create a power for the body to actualize itself through the act of existence. So Aquinas is quick to say that body and soul are not connected. They can't be really truly connected. They can have an overlapping boundary area, which is a realm of positing. That's going to be their only way of connection. So body and soul, one is incorporeal, and one is corporeal. One is finite, one is infinite. One is pure, one is corruptible. Therefore, they are not connected for Aquinas, but they do have a realm of overlap where spirit and finitude can overlap, and that's the realm of positing, or the genus of bodies. So for Aquinas, spirit cannot be united with body as simply mind and body. It can't be united that way, because one is spirit and one is finitude and corruptible. So for Aquinas, the realm of positing is absolutely necessary to be consistent with his theology and the purity of the divine. The purity of God and the purity of the realm of spirit cannot be corrupted, and therefore it cannot be directly connected to body. Body and soul are connected through an boundary line realm of the genus of body as the realm of positing. It gives us a little extra data this time, a little bit of extra information, and it did take us up through page 25.